To begin this video, I want to say I'm sorry that this is getting posted a week later than it was supposed to. I went to make the video last week, and as I was writing it, it was just a mess. I was very frustrated by a lot of stuff going on, and it ended up getting taken out on the script in the video. Because of that, I decided to just wait and make the video next week when I was less frustrated. As a side effect, however, since I use these videos to address my own thoughts and opinions of what I'm doing, I can't really remember much of what I was doing because I was getting so frustrated by the game. And it was a frustrating experience playing this season. At one point, I had to stop because my cat disappeared. I also had 3 different days that had to be redone because I had to stop midday. Consequently, instead of having 4 videos of recordings for me to watch, instead I have 7 because of all the craziness. And to me, that was enough to make me frustrated. In the grand scheme of things, is it small things to be frustrated by? Sure. But we've all been set off by less. I just chose to take a step back and wait a week to calm down. So with all my intro stuff out of the way, how was fall for me? Fall was interesting for me. To begin, I spent a lot more time on Ginger Island than I ever expected to. Part of this was me setting up my Ginger Island farm for the time being. Because I'm focusing on perfection, one of the requirements is to cook all of the dishes. And I'm using Ginger Island to grow small amounts of every crop so that way I can drop them off in my kitchen. It's not something I've ever done before, so I don't really know what crops I need. So I'm just growing kind of a little bit of everything. And speaking of growing a little bit of everything, I want to take a moment and talk about one of my favorite machines that has been introduced to the game since the last time I played. The dehydrator was introduced in version 1.6, and I'm going to glaze this item for a second. If you are focusing on money, blueberries in summer and cranberries in fall were already some of the most profitable crops prior to this. The dehydrator is such an easy way to take those crops that were already extremely profitable and make even more money. But it's not just that. The dehydrator actually solved a real problem that could be found in the games. It's more obvious to turn the more valuable crops like melons, pumpkins, and starfruit into wines, pickles, or juice. For the smaller crops that you receive hundreds of when you harvest them, there never was a good way to process those. And if you look at old advice guides or videos, the best advice was to turn all of these into jelly. Having an item that fills the hole in that was just an amazing thing to see coming back into the game, especially after not playing a while for me. Also, as an aside, I'm pretty sure this didn't used to be the case, but looking at the Stardew Valley wiki, blueberry wine and blueberry jelly both sell for the same amount of gold. However, cranberry jelly and wine sell for different. And speaking of gold, my gold earnings for fall continue to blow my mind. And while I normally estimate my change each season, I'm going to take this time to show everyone how to calculate the percent increase amongst seasons using this season's DGR and last season's DGR. This season ended with a DGR of 90,429. Last season's DGR was 55,888. Those are the only 2 numbers we are going to need for the entire process. The way we calculate this is as follows. We take our newest number, then subtract our older number, before finally dividing that total by the older number, and then we multiply it by 100 at the end because decimals are generally harder for our brain to understand, so we convert into percentage. So, let's do this. We take 90,429, subtract 55,888. That gets us 34,541. We take that, divide by 55,888 to get 0.6180. Finally, we can move the decimal 2 spots to the right, since we're multiplying it by 100, which gets us a grand total of 61.8% increase from last season to this season. It's a big increase that is in line with other seasons so far, and I'm just excited that the line is still going up, and I'm also intrigued to see when this line starts to go down. As for the rest of fall, my priorities started to shift this season. One of them was very small. I love the look of giant crops on farms. Even more, I love the fact that they stay season to season, and I just wanted some giant crops around the farm. So this is my giant pumpkin. I don't know what I want to name it. It's to be determined. I was also able to grow a ton of cranberries as well for money. And my animals are really starting to come into their own as well. I will say though, I'm pretty close to selling all of my animals and just starting fresh with them. At this point, there's just a lot of chaos with my animals. One of my barns has 4 in it, despite being able to house 12. And my animal's ability to be surrounded by grass and eat none of it continues to blow my mind. I will say, animals have gone through a lot of changes throughout time. I keep seeing videos of people having ostriches, but I don't know how to get those. The wiki says I get it from a journal scrap, but I have yet to get it. And then the final big thing that I really tried to focus on this season was developing a pattern for me to stick to. Some things are easier than others. For example, a lot of things in-game get reset on Mondays. The quest board in town switches on Mondays. Key quests gets updated on Mondays. For me, Mondays were also Ancient Fruit Harvest Day. And that is a habit I've had down for most of the year. But things like going to the desert on Sundays to get staircases has just been hard for me to maintain a habit of. Clearly, I did not do a great job, but even just having the thought or plan in your head is still usually good because it helps put you in the mindset. It's in the forefront of your thoughts, so it's easier to remember to do something. And finally, to wrap up this video, it has come time for my favorite part, which is breaking down fishing. I have a video in the works right now showing stuff that you can do with numbers, but it's taken me a while to work on it because I want to make sure it's good, and because it's something I've never done before. But before I ramble about that, fishing. I caught 111 fish over the season, which firmly places this season on the lower side of the amount of fish caught. The total breakdown for the season is as follows. Fish made up 43% of everything I caught, while stuff and crab pots made up 39% of everything I caught. This is nice. The crab pot fish I've decided are going to be used for cooking recipes that require a fish of any kind. I can get them on the easier side, so I figure it's one of the better ways to go about it. Finally, consumables made up of 15% of what I caught, and jellies made up 3% of everything I caught. Thank you so much for watching this edition of the series. I'm slowly feeling more comfortable making these videos, and each video I try and make one small adjustment to help make the videos better. So if you enjoyed what you watched and want to continue on this adventure with me, please hit that subscribe button so you know when the next chapter comes out, and please hit that like button as well. You hear it from everyone, but it does help grow the channel. So thank you so much in advance. Until next time, however, stay safe and have fun farming.